The MG ZS EV first appeared in 2018, and that was at the Guangzhou Auto Show, and it was called the EZS. Shortly after that, the UK market got it, and it was renamed the ZS EV. And today, we have the new ZS EV. Welcome to Planet Auto. Well, I don't think you'll quite believe what the last 7 days we've had. We managed to get down to Silverstone and we did a road trip. We've not managed to actually get to Blackpool Illuminations. Why? Well, if you've watched the news, you'll know that storms hit this area pretty badly. For example, the neighbour's car was crushed. Our 50-foot conifer dropped hard and all our walls blew down. However, this did give us a chance to test it in snow, see what the power was like, see if it would grip. I mean, the other thing is, the tree that fell over there, if it had come this way, would have squished this flat and the garage. Now that would have been a bad day. No longer do you get things like the Excite and the Exclusive. No, you now get the SE, the Trophy and the Trophy Connect. This is the Trophy Connect, and it does have some tricks up its sleeve. Now, the one thing about the MG ZS EV is the prices have gone up.
Newsflash, in the last few days the UK government grant has changed and not for the better. The grant will now give you up to £1,500 and is only available for EVs under £32,000, which means that the Trophy costs £34,040 and the Trophy Connect costs £34,540. And the SMMT aren't too happy about it, and neither are we, especially as it has now started to work, helping people transition to battery electric vehicles. Come on, UK government, sort it out. We're going backwards now instead of forwards.
You still get all that safety like MG Pilot, but now you get things like LED headlamps and also some restyling. But if you go for the SC, you lose things like a panoramic sunroof, electric driver's seat and a wireless charger. The biggest change has to be in the powertrain. You now get bigger batteries, and with that comes increased range, 270 miles as opposed to 163. Take it into the city and that'll increase to 370. And our 450-mile road trip will actually show you what it does in real life. Because that's it. So many people are like, oh, I've seen this vehicle and I've seen a little review on it, but no one's actually driven it. And right at the beginning it was, oh, it's Chinese, they've taken over MG, they don't know what they're doing. Well, they do. The vehicles that they sell, the happy customers, the 7-year warranty. And when it comes to the exterior, there are a few changes. For example, the front's completely different. New bumper, and for want of a better word, a new grille. Also, the panel that used to lift up here has now gone, and they've replaced it with this. Chunkier hinge, and it's a smaller door, so it feels quite strong. And no more rubber plugs. You literally just pull this, and it pops open. How simple's that? The one thing that has gone is a pulsing MG badge. But if you've noticed, this is actually colour-coded to the vehicle. And this, when you plug it in, is where you'll see your charge bar. And it's so much easier to close. Front camera, which means you get a 360. So you've got a camera there, 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 and here. Now the one thing that let this vehicle down, and we noticed it immensely on our road trip, was the headlamps. Halogens don't quite have the throw of an LED. Well, MG have addressed that. You now have full LED lights, and that's front and rear. Automatic lights, high beam assist. Now, safety. Where do you start with an MG? For a start, it's got MG Pilot. So that means you've got everything from blind spot detection through to adaptive cruise, but we'll take a deeper look when we go for a drive later. Under the bonnet, well, the first thing you notice, there's no struts to open it. SAIC even have their own 12-volt battery. Makes sense, they have their own battery factories. Essentially, it's like an internal combustion engine. Still needs things like wiper fluid, coolant, brake fluid. You can see that they've done things with refinement, so even inside the engine bay it's carpeted, and that just reduces sound and keeps, I assume, things like motors and such warmer. This is a clever idea. Etched into the bonnet is an arrow showing you where to put this. Now with a bigger range comes increased charging times. For example, home charge is now classed as emergency, and I'm not surprised. For a full charge it takes 36 hours, so you're better off with a wall box. And that being said, a 7 kilowatt charger will take around 10.5 hours to get to 100%. 100 kilowatt charger, well, you're talking about 40 minutes, and that's for 80%. 50 kilowatt, just over an hour. But I suppose that gives you time to recharge yourself. And that's the thing about an electric vehicle. It brings back those old values. Because you're charging, you have to stop. Which means you can get a meal and you can look after yourself. It's all about well-being. The side profile, well, it's exactly the same. You still have this rugged styling that gives it an off-roady look, but we've got new wheels. And I think these are called turbines. And if you've noticed, this is actually a trim over an alloy. Decent big tyre, making it comfortable on-road and off-road. And yes, there is no 4x4, but you've got a decent ride height, so you can go and be a little more adventurous. Power folding door mirrors with blind spot detection, they're heated and they're electrically adjusted. Roof rails, and yes, you can carry 75 kilos on those. On the SE, you don't get roof bars and you don't get heated mirrors. Chrome trim, chrome door handle, and some sporty styling at the bottom of the door. You've still got that sleek sloping roof line, but it doesn't affect headroom in the back, so that's great news. Also, the other thing is there's no privacy glass, and there doesn't seem to be any on any of the MGs full stop, but you can get it aftermarket, so that's no problem. Front and rear discs, and the front are vented. Walking around the back, well, this is a completely new bumper. Also LED rear lenses. And yet again, another colour-coded badge that doubles as the boot opener. Parking sensors, 360 camera, and essentially it's the same vehicle, just looks a little bit different with the rear bumper. Sporty rear spoiler, high level brake light, beasting, and don't forget, with every MG, a 7-year warranty. The thing with the MG ZS is you can get petrols and you can get electric. There's no diesel and there's no hybrid. Now I suppose the thing you have to ask yourself is, do you need electric or would you rather petrol? Now there is about a 10 grand difference. We've got keyless entry and keyless go, and also the doors that cover the sills. Straight away I can see some padded areas, some sporty finishes. Yes, you do have hard plastics on the front and the rear, but that doesn't detract from the look and feel of the new ZS. Easy to climb into, nice wide door opening, but no grab handle sadly. But one thing I have noticed is you can plug in a dash cam here. Straight away I can see some changes from the previous gen. For example, we've got no embossed logo here, but we do have red stitching. Also, looks like the seats have been revamped. And they are comfortable on a long journey. I think I was sat in this seat for about 9 hours. And when you see the road trip, you'll know why. Exactly the same operations for the Powertrain, so that's good to see, because I do like this rotary dial. It's just nice and simple to use. Other things that have changed, this center console, build quality as good as ever, and new infotainment screen. You've still got things like your retro vents and soft touches throughout. I'm also a fan of this sporty material. It's like a carbon fibre, but plush. Great driving position. As I mentioned, you've got padded armrest and you've got this center armrest, and everything's just trimmed very nicely. Premium materials. It's not real leather. That's probably good in today's world. Now the one thing that is missing is reach from the steering wheel. But you do have height. And this is a fully electric seat, and I think it's 6-way adjustable. This is 4-way adjustable, but it is manual. But just looking at these seats, they're supportive, they're buckety, and they look very sporty. Headroom, yeah, kind of what I'm used to. It was perfectly fine in the first one, it's perfectly fine in this one. Legroom, footrest, 2-pedal system, yeah, very good. Everything about this vehicle just, well, brings sport to mind, which is good because MG were known for sporty little vehicles. So the fact that that's carried over to SUVs is a really good thing. Well, in my eyes. Leather wrap steering wheel, adaptive cruise here, auto lights, rain sensing wipers, and there doesn't seem to be a button where you can actually fold the mirrors. It seems that they only do it on the key. Well, that's wrong. Literally, if you push down the little stick, it will fold the mirrors. Perfect for country lanes. To the right of that, I can also adjust my headlamp height. Now you're wondering why. Well, you can actually tow with this vehicle, and it's about 500 kilos. So that shows that electric vehicles are getting better and better. Completely new cluster, and it's more like the MG HS hybrid. So you've got a bar on this side and a bar on this side, and this will tell you when you're regenning with a minus figure. And you've got a completely new infotainment screen. Still got your shortcut buttons here, home, fan, yada yada, and they, dependent on the button, push either down or up. And to turn off the fan, you just press and hold this button. So you've got your heated seats here. Now pretty much you can press anywhere on the screen. So you press there, and you can press there, and you can do each thing. So we've also got the shortcut buttons dependent on what the feature is. And I think you'll agree the difference in speed is unbelievable. If I press navigation here, it's there. Unbelievable. So yes, MG have listened. Car settings, so you can see all the safety, you've got your convenience, lighting, vehicle information, and the other thing is you can go way deeper than this. You've got things like weather, which makes sense why you have a lady that comes on and tells you about the conditions and tells you to drive safely.
PM, cloudy, 8.9 degrees Celsius.
If you go to user, this is where you connect it to MG iSmart. We'll do a separate video on this because this will take far too long. But there's your QR code, you scan that and then you bind to the car. And then you can do things like preheating, defrosting, check the status of your vehicle. It'll even tell you things like whether the windows are up or down. You can also schedule a charge. And of course it's got the obligatory Android Auto, Apple CarPlay and DAB radio. You can turn down the sound of the chimes and the bings and the bongs. Yes, you can't completely mute it. You've got Wi-Fi, and it is 4G. I think it may even be 5G. Vehicle hotspot, data traffic management, voice activation, Bluetooth, yada yada yada. Go back to general, you can even change the background of the infotainment. Whoa, that's bright. I almost forgot MG Pilot. So you press the car's settings, you can go to MG Pilot, and you can see all the options here. I mean, if you press each one, you can see a little deeper. 2 cup holders, USBs, 12 volt, and a wireless charging pad. Storage under here. Decent door pockets. Glove box. Well, because you've got an online manual, there's not one in there. The rear door opens nice and wide, and it's a decent door opening. Climbing in, the raised ride height helps. Also, I've got a grab handle here. It's comfortable. I've got ample headroom, so it's 6'3". Because of the panoramic, it does eat a little bit in, but that comes with the territory. But no, I can sit comfortably, and I've got a decent line of sight too. Padded area here, electric window, and a decent door pocket, and it's trimmed nicely. Yeah, there's hard plastics, but not as many as you'd think. Legroom, decent. Reduced transmission tunnel. And I suppose the one thing that has really surprised me is the fact that I've now got a centre armrest with 2 cup holders. The interior has some sporty finishes, but it's plush, comfortable, and very supportive. I do like a light headliner in an SUV, and even if it wasn't, this panoramic is massive. And it's got a blind on it, so you won't be cooked in the summer sun. It makes it feel far bigger. It's comfortable for 4 people on a long journey, 3 on a shorter journey in the back, I would say. And ooh, we've now got vents. You've got a USB here and a USB-C. Yeah, as I mentioned, the only thing that's probably missing is a rear light or map reading lights. There's also ISOFIX points and airbags around the vehicle. It's the perfect family SUV. Got my key fob. I can either press this button or I can use the keyless entry, so you don't have to unlock the vehicle to actually open this. You can also unlock it using the app. Multiple ways to open the vehicle. And this doubles as the boot opener. The boot's exactly the same as before. Storage points here, storage points here. You've got this false floor and your chargers and inflation kit under here. And I'm sure this is far neater than the previous gen. Little boot light, easily removable parcel shelf. I have to be a bit careful standing under here at 6'3". If you're a little shorter, should be perfectly fine when you're loading shopping and things like that. Strangely, no shopping bag hooks and no tethering points. Dropping the seats is nice and easy, you just pull on this tab. It doesn't lay entirely flat, and you've got a minimal gap here, but it's quite a big size. Welcome behind the wheel of the new MG ZS EV. So as far as chassis goes and platform, it's exactly the same. It's going to be heavier because it's got more batteries, and that gives it up to a 270 mile range, which increases to 370 when you get it into the city. 0 to 60 in about 8.3, dependent on how you drive it, and if you can get the power down, because this is raw, and if you put your foot down, it will wheel speed, even from there.
Well, it feels rapid, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a quick vehicle.
Yeah. Very peppy.
Handles well, yeah, you get body roll, but because you've got those batteries, it feels like it's glued to the road. You'll see how this handles. Considering it's a pretty big SUV, yeah, you get bounce, but I'd rather bounce than bump, to be honest. Ooh.
The suspension is a bit stiffer than the previous gen, meaning it's not quite as bouncy over the bumps. However, it is comfortable and holds the road well. No flying birdie.
Yeah.
Even though you can use your infotainment screen to actually do the HVAC, you've got your shortcut buttons at the bottom.
Just be aware that Regen 3 does not work like descent control. It will slow the vehicle down, but if the descent gets too steep, it will start to accelerate again. You'll be happy to see that the drive system is the same. You operate it with this rotary dial. It's very, very simple to use. When you start the vehicle, it's always in normal. If you want to get the most out of your range, switch it to eco. That's a decent turning circle. I've got a range of 72 miles. I went to the chip shop last night, left Silverdale with 79, which is, it's about 3.5 miles to Arnside. And when I pulled back up in the drive, it was 79. And that's because I had it on Regen 3. And what I noticed the other day, when driving on motorways, it tends to coast more. But on a country road, if you back off, you can adopt a one-pedal driving system, because it's got stop-go as well. And because you've got regenerative braking, you pretty much don't need to brake. So, also it still says 70, and it said 70 at the bottom, whereas the previous gen, it would have probably dropped 2 or 3 miles in that time frame. So it's definitely evolved mile for mile. Now you will notice a serious depletion when it gets seriously cold, but at 0 I notice little to none, which is quite interesting. I'm noticing now, because the temperature's increasing, it's showing us on our range finder, range meter, this thing here, this computer thing, that it's increasing. When we left, it said 188 was our total. Now it says it's 196.
And by that you mean estimated range.
Yeah.
But because it's estimated, it will fluctuate in terms of temperature,
It will.
that kind of thing. Now, Ben and I talk about how the temperature affects the range, but temp is not the only factor. What it does is give you a true-to-life range based on how you've been driving the vehicle. Therefore, if you continue to drive in that style, your range will reflect this. If you are wanting to increase the range you have available, just drive more economically. Or just do what Ben does, engage cruise control. That will always economise as much as possible.
Now there is no actual steering mode section in this. Instead, it's built into the modes. So you've got your sport, you've got your normal, and you've got your eco. You've also got 3 levels of regen as well, otherwise known as KERS. Put it in 1 to coast pretty much all the time. Put it in 2 to give you a little bit of regenerative braking. And then level 3, like I mentioned before, you probably don't need to brake. Steering, great feedback. Feels quite weighty here. Let's just hit sport mode and see what that does. Well, the first thing you notice is if you've got your foot down in the accelerator ever so slightly, it gives you a bit more zip. So if you go in from eco to normal, you'll feel it, and then if you go to sport again, you'll feel another. So it's like readying itself, and then you just put your foot down and zip. So yeah, steering's good. You combine that with the suspension and the weight of the vehicle, and it's quite an engaging vehicle. I think it's got a higher top speed as well. It's about 107, and if you do need to get out of trouble on the motorway, you've still got power above motorway speeds if you need to. Safety. Well, you've got MG Pilot, so you've got lane keep assist, rear traffic assistant, cross traffic alert, pedestrian bicycle detection, collision assist, AEB. I think there's some other things as well. Oh, here comes an ambulance. Brakes are good. You don't have a conventional handbrake, it's electronic, and it's got hill start assist. On a country road, it's great fun. Economy you'll get mile for mile because you'll be regenning as much as you use it. It just means every time you lift your foot off the pedal, you put a little more back into the battery. You can join motorways with ease, can't you? You can just get up to motorway speeds in, well, next to no time.
Well, this took everything we threw at it, didn't it?
Yeah.
For such a long road trip in such a short space of time, in inclement weather, shall we say.
Yeah. Well, that's it. What they've done is taken the ZS EV and just made it better in every way.
Even with the increase in price, it's still hugely competitive.
Oh, it is,
When
yeah.
you look at what you get